some situations that can pose a health and safety risk to paramedics. We will first review helicopter safety. The following is a video by Orange, outlining the safety procedures that should be taken around their helicopters.
Thousands of times each year, an orange helicopter lands on scene to transport a patient. And with each landing, safety is the first priority. At Orange, we are committed to the safety of patients, crew members, emergency first responders, and members of the public. It is particularly important as we introduce our new, more powerful AW139 helicopters. This video will explain how to protect yourself and your team around the helicopter and how to ensure the aircraft arrives and departs safely. Choosing a landing zone. Select a landing site coordinator, someone who is not involved in scene operations or patient care. Police, firefighters, or other first responders are an excellent choice. The landing zone coordinator is responsible for selecting, setting up, securing, and maintaining an area for the helicopter throughout the entire transport operation. The landing zone coordinator must remain on site and fulfill these responsibilities from the time of the initial request until the helicopter departs the scene. The captain of the helicopter is responsible for selecting the landing zone and has the final decision on whether or not to land. Minimum landing zone requirements. Ensure that the landing zone be 150 feet square, or 150 by 150 feet, or 45 by 45 meters, and free from all major obstacles and vehicles. Free of obstacles including wires, trees, stumps, and vehicles. Free of loose debris. A stable surface such as concrete, asphalt, packed gravel, or grass, as flat as possible, and free of flares or anything else that may be used to outline the landing zone. Avoid having the landing zone boxed in tightly by emergency vehicles. Also ensure that stretchers are left in the ambulance and that all loose articles remain secured until directed by the pilot or crew members. Firefighters should not lay out hose. If it is already laid out, all hoses should be charged. Remember, even if all of the landing zone requirements are met, the captain of the helicopter has the final decision on whether to land and may choose to select a more suitable site. Securing the landing zone. Place a minimum of 2 vehicles in a fashion that will keep other vehicles away from the site. They should be located at each end of the designated landing zone, perpendicular to the road. Personnel should also be in place to prevent access to the landing zone. If the landing zone is dusty, have the fire department wet down the area to prevent a zero visibility situation when the helicopter lands. If possible, fresh snow should be packed down to prevent whiteout conditions. If this is not practical, the aircrew should be warned of loose or powder snow conditions. Vehicles and personnel are strictly prohibited from the landing zone for a radius of 150 feet or 45 meters from a minimum of 3 minutes prior to the estimated time of arrival until there is positive and definitive indication from the flight crew that it is safe to enter the landing zone. When the helicopter is preparing to depart, there shall be no vehicles or personnel within the landing zone at any time after an indication, verbal or physical, from the flight crew that they are ready to start engines. Communications. All scene and landing zone location information should be communicated to local dispatch. It will then be relayed to the Orange Communications Center and subsequently the flight crew. First, determine an accurate description of the landing zone in relation to the scene location. GPS coordinates are the preferred method of identifying the site and can be used on their own or in conjunction with other means. Include highway numbers and distances to nearby towns. Provide directional or compass headings to the scene from the landmarks. Dangerous obstacles. This is an example of what the pilot sees when landing the aircraft. Note how smaller objects are not easily noticeable. Always remember, what you can see from the ground may not be visible from the air. If you notice any of the following obstacles within a 360-degree radius, the flight crew should be notified prior to landing. Trees, utility poles, wires, ditches, signs, and any other object that the helicopter could dislodge. Each obstacle should be identified to the pilot in relation to the landing zone. In this example, notice the light pole along the highway. You would communicate that there is a large light standard approximately 300 feet or 90 meters west of the landing zone. The more information you can provide, the safer the landing zone will be. Wind. All takeoffs and landings will be made into the wind wherever possible. Wind direction should be considered when selecting a landing zone. Hazardous materials or HAZMAT. Never assume the flight crew is aware of a HAZMAT danger. Always ensure the flight crew is notified as to the nature of any such dangers as soon as possible prior to landing. A helicopter's rotor downwash could spread hazardous materials over hundreds of feet. When hazardous materials are present, the landing zone should be located upwind of the incident and outside of the hot zone. Avoid choosing low-lying areas for landing zones as vapors collect in low terrain. Safe distances. Bystanders must remain a minimum of 200 feet or 60 meters clear of the helicopter. Emergency vehicles must remain at least 150 feet or 45 meters away until instructed by the pilot or crew members. No vehicles or personnel are allowed within the 150-foot or 45-meter landing zone while rotors are turning. Be aware that the blade tips of the main and tail rotors are almost invisible when spinning. Rotor downwash. Helicopters generate high winds. Rotor downwash is capable of reaching speeds of up to 100 miles or 160 kilometers per hour. It is essential to examine the landing zone for any loose objects or debris, as these may be picked up by rotor downwash and ingested through an engine. This in turn could cause the helicopter to malfunction or even crash. Common debris includes virtually everything that is not secure, including but not limited to pillows, blankets, tarps, loose clothing, sticks, plywood, paper, and plastic bags. Personnel should take cover inside or behind vehicles while a helicopter is arriving or departing. Vehicle doors, windows, and access compartments should be closed. Extreme caution should be exercised when a helicopter is operating in the vicinity. Personal protective equipment. Ensure that all personal protective equipment is used for helicopter arrivals and departures. This includes, but is not limited to, eye protection, hearing protection, a helmet with visor and chin strap fastened, and jacket and pants to cover bare skin. Approaching a helicopter. Do not approach the helicopter without a crew escort when the rotor blades are turning. This is very important to ensure your safety around the aircraft. Before moving closer to the helicopter, always look for a visual signal from the pilot that it is safe to approach. Always approach the helicopter using the safe approach corridors as demonstrated in the image. If there is any doubt as to whether it is safe to approach the aircraft, do not approach. Approaching a helicopter on sloping terrain. If you are on uneven ground, approach or depart from the downhill side. It has the most clearance from the rotors. Crouch down while walking in the vicinity of the helicopter. Do not raise anything above your head. Night operations. Orange helicopters will only respond to heliports, airports, and company-approved landing sites at night. The key points to remember to ensure a safe landing for any Orange helicopter are: always stay 150 feet or 45 meters away from the landing zones or helicopter, and keep pedestrians 200 feet or 60 meters away. Do not approach the helicopter when the blades are turning unless you have an Orange crew escort. Ensure the landing zone is free of any loose items and that hazards are communicated to the Orange pilot. Orange takes the safety of its patients, crews, and partners seriously. We thank you for your attention and encourage you to review the information in this video frequently to ensure you and your team are safe. For more information, contact Orange directly at 1-800-251-6543.